Officer Gabe Valdez of the New Mexico State Police and retired scientist Howard Burgess, who pioneered the development of Kirlian photography in this country, periodically pool their knowledge and expertise in an effort to solve the mutilation mystery. Officer Valdez describes how it all began.
It was in 1976, June the 14th, when we first had one of our cattle mutilations here in Dulce. The cattle that was mutilated belonged to Mr. Emmanuel Gomez. Anytime that we do find one that it's not too decomposed and it's fresh enough for us to do some tests, well, I do call on Mr. Burgess because he has a lot of knowledge in the field of science that is very helpful to me in conducting my investigations.
Howard Burgess had a theory that some of the cattle had been marked prior to their mutilation with something which would show up under ultraviolet light but be invisible to the naked eye. Late one night, he and Valdez conducted an experiment and found that out of 80 head of cattle, 5 were indeed marked with a powdery white substance, visible only under ultraviolet light.
So we took ultraviolet with some special filters and ran the cattle through it, and what appears to be markings glowed under ultraviolet. It's invisible to the normal eye, but under ultraviolet it does glow. Then we removed the hair from the region that does glow, and we removed a control sample. We took these to the lab and had chemical checks run on them. We did find that the sample that did glow is extremely high in potassium and magnesium. At the time, this was interesting, but it didn't mean much to us until we ran on to other things that began to tie in with it.
The tie-in came on July 3rd, 1978, when a UFO was sighted over Taos, New Mexico. As it hovered over the town, it dropped a thin film of ashes onto the ground below. The ashes contained high levels of magnesium and potassium, the same elements found on the cattle under ultraviolet light, but there was more.
We find there's at least 25 elements in there. There's a good possibility that it may be something that's organic. And if it is, this just opens up a real bag of worms, because anything can happen if this is an organic material that has come from one of these crafts. And this, as the people told us, directly fell from the craft that was hovering over the area.